How to divide polynomials, example B. So here we're being asked to divide negative 3x to the fifth power plus 5x to the third minus 6x squared plus 2x to the fourth minus 10 by the binomial x plus 2. Generally, we want to write both polynomials in descending order. This is going to make the process much easier. We also want to make and take note of any missing terms. Once we've got this in order, we're going to use long division to find the quotient and the remainder. So let's start by rewriting the polynomials in descending order. The first polynomial we have is a fifth degree polynomial since 5 is the highest power in any of the terms. So we're going to start there. Negative 3x to the fifth power. Next, 1 degree down would be something to the fourth power. So now we have plus 2x to the fourth power. Then plus 5x to the third power minus 6x to the second power. And next would have been something with the variable x to the first power, but this would be a missing term. So instead, I'm going to write plus 0x, since there is no x to the first power term. And then last, we have the minus 10. Now the binomial x plus 2 is already in descending order, so we're going to leave that alone. Now let's go ahead and set this up for long division. And I'm going to do that by writing that long division bar just over the dividend. And I'm going to write the divisor out to the left, just like how it would with long division. Now, just like long division with real numbers, we need to find what will multiply to the divisor that will get the dividend. So we're going to first look at the first term in the divisor and the first term in the dividend. And we must think what times x, what times that first term is going to get us the first term here. I'm just going to scroll down. Well, if we multiply by negative 3x to the fourth power to that first term, we're going to end up with negative 3x to the fifth power. And that's exactly what we want. Now, you're not just going to multiply it to the first term, you're going to multiply it to the whole binomial, including that second term. So negative 3x to the fourth power will result in negative 6x to the fourth power. And just like in old school real number long division, after we multiply, we subtract what we have. So we're going to subtract this whole expression down here, the negative 3x to the fifth minus 6x to the fourth. And when we subtract, it's going to change some signs. So we do this going straight down, 2x to the fourth power plus 6x to the fourth power. That gets us 8x to the fourth power. And if we did this correctly, the first two terms should cancel out. Negative 3x to the fifth power plus 3x to the fifth power. Yep, that's going to cancel out. And we are only left with 8x to the fourth. Now, just like real number long division, we bring down the next number, or in this case, the next term, plus 5x to the third. And we will continue this process. Now, paying attention to this first term down here, 8x to the fourth, what would we have to multiply to x by to get exactly that? Well, to get 8, we would have to multiply by 8. We already have an x, so to get x to the fourth, we would multiply by x to the third power. Now remember, that gets distributed to the whole divisor, x plus 2. So we end up with 8x to the fourth power, right? 8x to the third times x is 8x to the fourth power, and that's what we want it to do. Now 8x to the third power times 2, well, that's a positive 16x to the third power. And remember, after we multiply, we need to subtract. Now we can distribute that minus sign. Let's scroll down just a little bit more. 5x to the third power minus 16x to the third power. Well, that's going to be negative 11x to the third power. And once again, if we did this correctly, the first two terms should cancel out, and they do. After that, we bring down the next term, minus 6x to the second power, and we continue this process. So if we multiply x by 11, we will get 11, but we would need to multiply by negative 11, because you remember, you want to multiply by something that'll get you the exact number that's in the expression down below. So if we multiply by negative 11, that's going to get us negative 11. And if we multiply by x squared, that would get us the x to the third power. So now we distribute that. Negative 11x to the third power. And now we have negative 11x to the third power times 2. Well, that would be negative 22x squared, right? I meant to say x to the second power there. Negative 11x to the second power times 2 is negative 22x squared. Once again, after you multiply, make sure you subtract. Distribute that minus sign, leaving us with negative 6x squared plus 22x to the second power. And that would be positive 16x squared. And negative 11x to the third plus 11x to the third cancels out. Now we have that missing term here, the plus 0x. We're still going to use this. We're still going to continue this process, plus 0x. Now we multiply by positive 16x. That will get us positive 16x squared. Remember, we're multiplying to the dividend out here. I'm sorry, we're multiplying to the divisor out here. Now, positive 16x times 2, well, that'll get us a positive 16x. Subtract. Don't forget to distribute that minus sign every time you subtract. It's kind of common to only subtract the first two terms and not really subtract the second two terms. So now we have 0x minus 16x. Well, that leaves us with, oh wait, that's not 16x, that would be positive 32, my mistake. Remember, that is positive 16x times positive 2. Let's go ahead and clear this out a bit. So that would have been positive 32x. But after distributing that minus sign, that would result in a negative 32x. All right, so now we have negative 32x. And let's bring down that 10 minus 10. Well, all we have left to do is multiply by a negative 32. Multiplying by the negative 32 will get us negative 32x plus 64. Sorry, that is minus 64. Remember, multiplying the negative 32 by positive 2. So that would be minus 64. And then we get in there and subtract. Distribute. Now we have positive 54 as our remainder. Taking a look at our complete problem and our complete answer, we have negative 3x to the fourth plus 8x to the third minus 11x squared plus 16x minus 32 with a remainder of 54. Now, another way that you might see that written out is just like this. Negative 3x to the fourth plus 8x to the third minus 11x squared plus 16x minus 32. And then we will add on the remainder part by saying plus 54 over x plus 2. So this is another way to set up a quotient. Here we have the quotient part, then the remainder over the divisor. That's another common way to write out your answer. That is all.